Has anybody eaten any good eggs lately?
Actually, I did a bunch of hard-boiled eggs this week.
You just
way you said I did. Maybe I thought you were gonna say I did hard drugs.
I did.
Do a cool dozen
as well. Yeah.
Do a cool dozen boils.
Half of them. And I don't eat the yolk. I do not like the hard yolk.
So what do you do with the yolk?
I feel you. In a boiled egg, the yolk kind of like,
it's chalky.
It's tumory.
But what do you do with the yolk though?
Throw it out.
It's a beautiful little ball. I give it to a child.
See, I like that more than throwing out the yolk. That's food, gang. You can't.
What are we supposed to do with
it?
Oh, guys!
Guys,
no, this is AITA. This isn't the egg pod recording.
We have to record that tomorrow. I'm sorry.
Exactly that. New pod. Check it out.
Exactly, Jake. I'll eject you. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the AITA Pod. I'm Danny Vega, joined today by my lovely... I'm trying not to say lovely, lovable, because that was Sarah's thing. What do I say about you guys? Handsome and earnest and gorgeous and insightful and charming.
Oh, I got three.
You got three.
I went crazy.
In your face.
I'm all right with two. Handsome and earnest.
And Jake Davis.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Missed
guys, thanks for joining me. It's good to see you again.
Good to see
you.
Danny.
You whirlwind adventurer? You romantic.
Yeah,
it was a crazy birthday / Thanksgiving for me.
Oh wait, so does your birthday ever land on Thanksgiving?
It does every
so
7 years
baby.
or somewhere. It's a weird thing. I don't really know how it works, but yeah, it happens.
So you get a lot of we're thankful for your birthday cards.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. What is that like? Do you like it? Is it nice because it only happens once every 7 years?
I got birthday issues, so I like when it's on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Talk us through it.
I'm actually learning, and I'm learning it through you guys because I'm really enjoying, toxic masculinity must suppress. I'm really enjoying that we're friends and hanging out and talking, and I like you guys. And you know what I realized, guys? God, I don't know why I'm so embarrassed about this, but like I'm trying to get out of this thing where all my friends are duos, right? Me and one other person,
right?
Because I'm very intense, and nobody really wants that. So
that's so true,
right? So Shannon already hurting my feelings. So no, and so I'm like, and I think trios are great too, because like I love our group chat, and like whenever I've been in more friend groups, those actually friendships have lasted longer and been more rewarding, and I just think they can work in different ways. And they can
wake up to like 90 text messages.
Oh yeah,
it is a lot of me and Jake going off.
Danny and I
7:40 a.m.
We are up like the crack of dawn, 6:30 a.m. Somebody's got to take, and we are off to the races.
It's off to the races.
Shannon it's a lot comes for my brain to function at like right as I wake up.
Because you're also coming in like 36, 37 texts down the thread where now it's just you can't put coconuts in a pie, Jake. That doesn't make any sense. Where does the shell go?
So yeah, and what I've realized is I was sort of like, oh, I need to be more social. I need to work on my social life. And so I'll throw big parties. And I've realized that this was like a caveman-esque kind of thing of like, no more one friend, many friend. We have all friend. And I've realized like I actually don't even have that much fun at these huge parties I throw. And I really just want like the people that I want to hang out with, like a handful of people. So I'm still doing my Apple party thing.
Yes.
But I only invited like a handful of people. And I'm like, that'll be great. I'll just hang out with the people that I wanted to hang out with the most. And maybe I'll do a big party every now and again. But I realized that was like an impulse, and I had to lock it in, figure it out.
Yeah, more one-on-one time.
Yeah.
Hosting can be very overwhelming. Actually, any party up until just like a couple of years ago that I hosted, I would get completely blacked out at and forget the entire night. And I spent all this time preparing and literally didn't get to enjoy it at all.
Nothing to take away.
The only time I can enjoy something that I'm hosting and planning is if it's an overnight affair, if it's an event destination thing, and like if it's multiple nights, I can enjoy it a lot more because you don't feel like you have to be on the entire time. If you're hosting a one evening party, you're kind of part of the event, so you're enjoying it, but you're not really part of it. You're
Right.
a part of the experience for everybody.
Right.
I
Yours-
can't wait for this next one. And it is your birthday?
No, the first one was for my birthday. Vapor Days is what we called it.
Yeah.
Because I had a similar thing to you, Danny. I was really awkward with my birthday. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I would always like kind of panic at the last second to be like, I don't know, meet me at this bar. And there was no planning or anything to it.
Yeah.
And I almost felt guilty for doing it. So finally, combination effort between my therapist and my partner, just being like, have a fucking birthday. Do what you want to do. So we put together this really, really exciting, just sort of 3-day, 2-night package out in Palm Desert at this hot springs oasis. And we had a wonderful, wonderful time. But the only reason I was really able to sink myself in and fully enjoy it was because we had so much time there. If that was just a 1-day thing, I would have been just as much a part of the ambiance as the people who rented out the building to us.
I love that. No, I'm excited, and did I clinch an invite to the next one?
Yes, you were both in. This next one, we're moving it away from my birthday. We want it to be more of just like an experiential summer party, more of a celebration of the season more than anything else. So
It's gonna be so fun.
I'm thinking about doing a cyberpunk party for my birthday this year and just doing a one-night affair, maybe rent out a venue somewhere in LA and just make it a good. But we'll see. I might do something local.
The hype is building.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, so that I had birthday issues, and yeah, it has come up. Does that answer your question?
Well, did you like it when you said you liked it when it's on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, because it removed the pressure. Because I feel like I
okay.
have similar feelings to Jake, where I'd be like, oh, I got to throw a big party, and I got to feel popular, and I got to feel cool. But then I was like, oh, it's on Thanksgiving, so I can't even do it. But then I was never big about the day proper. So I would always just put my birthday some other day. And then there's always one guy who's really a stickler, like, is this your real birthday?
Oh, yeah.
Why are you asking this question? Does it matter?
You
This
pick-
is when I'm
doesn't matter.
celebrating.
Every year
Exactly.
you get a day to use as your birthday.
I think so.
It doesn't have
I
to be the exact day.
I think you get like your day and then like whatever weekend you choose to
Right.
celebrate.
Right.
Some people are like those month babies. I'm like, come
Enough
on.
with the birthday
I have a
month.
friend like that, and if she's listening, she knows who she is.
Oh my
Literally
God.
the entire month of September is her birthday.
That's
and
a
she
lot.
owns it though. Like she owns it. So
I'm a birthday month girl.
yeah.
My stepdad does that, but sort of tongue in cheek, where he's just like, it's my birthday. And then he just does whatever he wants like he normally does.
Yeah.
So he's not like actually making it his birthday month. He's just being himself and adding, it's my birthday in front of whatever he does. It's
I
actually
love
pretty
that.
charming.
Speaking of my birthday, even though it's behind us, it's also in front of us because we are doing a live show, guys. We're going to do AITA Pod live in Hollywood-ish. I don't really speak LA, but it's at Fourth Wall Cafe
Okay.
in Los Angeles, and it's going to be January 13th.
Open bar.
Friday.
Not open bar, Jake. Please do not tell them.
If I say it enough times,
Don't
we'll have to
listen
get
to
one.
Jake. Please listen to me. And it's going to be from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And it's going to be me, Jake, Shannon, Christy, hoping Lily will make it as well. And we're going to do some situations live. And there'll be a link in the description. So I hope you guys
gonna
can
be
come
so
out if you live in
fun.
the LA area.
Please do.
Yeah.
Love to meet you.
So my birthday this year, though, guys, I went to Santa Fe with the folks for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And yeah, it was great. I love Santa Fe. Let me say, I think New Mexico has been really slammed on in the media. I think, Breaking Bad actually did break Albuquerque to the country. This is something that they actually told me, that the New Mexicans told me. They're like, yeah, this place was nowhere until Breaking Bad.
It's like brought in a lot of tourism for them, surprisingly.
yeah.
People love
Makes
to go to like the
sense.
house and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They say not to go anymore though. But
Yeah,
so
totally.
anyway, I got to ABQ, the little airport there, and I got into an Uber.
Mhm.
And the Uber driver, he just the way he pulled over to the curb was like very slow and like just not really respecting the airport of like, it's an airport, let's go. And he just seemed very old. And he also had two phones. He had two phones mounted on his thing. I never seen that in my entire life.
I have in
You have?
ride shares.
Oh,
yeah, people
with
will
ride shares, yeah.
they'll operate two different apps at the same time. Now I think it's fallen out because Uber's just absorbed so much of the space, but I have seen that before.
Well, here's the thing. I've seen multiple devices, but never two phones. And it was also a very low rise, like windshield. So like it was really kind of covering some of the field of view. And like it was a small car. And I was like, and a very old car. I was like, I guess Uber in New Mexico has lower standards. Fair enough. But I was like, this thing's like a 2009. What's going on? As we're pulling out and I'm already kind of skeeved, he actually briefly drives in the middle of the road over the lane.
Oh God.
and there was no risk. There was no danger happening. And he like kind of stopped and adjusted one of the phones. But I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So, and he's just.
And this was like an hour ride, right?
No. I was just we were going to take the train. The train is ridiculous. The train to go from Albuquerque to Santa Fe is $2.25, which is cheaper than the New York subway, which goes for 5 minutes.
Oh my God.
Could not believe that. Anyway,
That's wild.
so we're driving in the car and I'm like, God, I really don't want to be a Karen and narc on this guy and tell, Lyft or whatever that he's a monster. And I was like, let me just see what kind of guy he is. And sure enough, it's like the saddest story ever. And he's like, I'm working to support my wife.
No.
She's very sick. And I'm like, oh God, okay.
Anytime I see an older person working, it just breaks my heart.
I even asked him, I go, how old are you? And he goes, 59. And I was like,
Oh,
what? You're
that's-
59. This guy looked at least 65.
Oh boy.
Like at least.
Yeah, he's still young enough to be working.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
and I would never, but he didn't seem to be fully like cognizant. Like he seemed kind of
Right.
like slow and just like, meh. We then are getting close to my destination. I'm now talking, right? Because I'm like feeling him out. He misses the destination. Granted, I was talking to him, but still, you can usually talk to the Uber driver. It's kind of their job to manage the talking and the driving.
That's true.
So he has to turn around and do a Yui. And we pull up and we finally get there and I go, hey man, I just wanted to be honest with you. At certain points during this ride, your driving made me feel unsafe, which I thought was pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, when? I was like, well, when we got to the airport, you kind of pulled over. And he's like, well, I had to pull over at the airport because I gotta have I have it up as a camera. And the other phone's a camera here. This is a camera. And I was like, okay, not that part. When we left the airport, you actually briefly, before I could even finish this thought, he goes, I don't have to take this from you. I don't have to hear this from you. To complain to Lyft. And I was like, oh,
I was trying to avoid
Okay.
that.
That's not what you want, sir.
No.
what you want. And he goes, get out of my car before I call 911. And
You should have called his bluff on that one.
I did mouth off. I said, you're going to call 911 for me being honest with you about your driving making me feel unsafe? So
Wow.
I get out,
dramatic.
grab my suitcase, go up. I'm super excited. I'm at a chicken and waffles place. And as I pull up to the hostess stand, I notice his car is parking and he's parking his car. And I was like, this is Albuquerque. He might be pulling the car up to come kill me with a gun. So, and I had an edible. I did have an edible 4 hours prior. I was like, I'm going to run. And I did. I freaking ran.
You ran.
I literally ran on foot. I strategized. I was like, let me get off the main drag. That'll be where he checks first. And I went through this weird apartment complex and tried to stay unexposed.
You went through property?
Yeah, dude. I was like, I need
Wait,
to be
did you have your
covered.
suitcase just rolling behind
No,
you?
I picked it up. And I ran with a heavy backpack. I'm booking it. And yeah, I ended up, I found my way in a Salvation Army. And I was just standing there.
Getting salvation in the Salvation
Yeah, right.
Army.
Do you guys have any coasters? So I'm just standing there in the Salvation Army, eyeing the window, scared that he's going to come. And the employees are kind of looking at me like, this guy's acting really weird, clearly not shopping. And I was like, let's New Mexico. I'm sure there's someone in here running.
People run in with their wheelie suitcases in their arms all the time.
All the time. I mean, everyone here is either selling drugs or getting drugs. I mean, come on, it's Albuquerque. So anyway, eventually I just tell the employee, I was like, hey, this weird thing happened in an Uber. And she's like, okay. She got into it right away. She was like, I'll go outside and look and make sure he's not there. I was like, thank you. But yeah, so that was how Albuquerque started.
You had such an
Wait.
adventure.
Yeah.
What time of day was this? Did you mention
Broad
that?
daylight.
Was your family in the chicken and waffles place?
No, my family was my. You could fly directly to Santa Fe from Phoenix, so
Oh,
my parents
okay.
didn't have to direct deal with this. But my brother and I had to fly into Albuquerque.
So when you started running, did you run out the front door or did you go back through the kitchen? Did he see you?
No, I went through the front door.
Did he see you though?
I don't know. I kind of glanced at the car, and he hadn't got out of the car yet. I was like, he's probably loading the rifle. Just picturing the worst.
This is
Now-
such a high thought.
It was a high thought.
I also want to.
Well, it was weird that he park the car though, Shannon?
That's
Isn't that
true,
weird?
but he was probably like trying to figure out his phones.
I've never seen an Uber park. Go ahead.
I never have either, but I want to rewind to a previous episode that we did where you were calling Shannon and I ridiculous for thinking that somebody might resort to
True
gun violence
100%.
for telling
I thought
them
of you guys.
that their
100%.
marriage was
I
falling
thought of you guys.
apart.
And
You
all
feared
you
gun
did-
violence for mouthing off to a Lyft driver. That says a lot. I feel vindicated.
Wow.
In Albuquerque, if you see your neighbor cheating on you from the window, you do not fuck with that situation. I mean, yeah, no, it made me feel a lot for women because I was like, this is a guy getting unhinged, you know, and I was being honest with him. I didn't take any shots at him. I didn't call him a bad driver. I didn't say anything. I said, you made me feel unsafe at one point.
So what are your thoughts now about like telling people things like that?
I avoid.
Yeah.
Avoid. If
Gave
there's
you enough of a taste?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Uber demographics are different too in Albuquerque because like in New York, it's like a career thing and like you can make decent money. And I'm sure in LA, it's similar. You know, I feel like New York is very defined. Like everybody is like, you know, like, oh, I drive 100 rides today. Brr. But like in Albuquerque and especially in Santa Fe, it's like you're waiting 30 minutes for an Uber. Like nobody is doing this as their main thing. Like it's, you know what I mean? So the people doing it are like not necessarily super invested.
I see what you're saying. Though it is worth mentioning the last time I remember actually using a taxi, I've heard a lot of people say like, oh, but taxi drivers, they're so much more well vetted. I had a taxi driver in Phoenix one time explain to me like, I used to drive trucks and you know, when you're in that line of business, you get really good at hiding a knife on one side of your chair so you can stab across the other side. And I was sitting in the back seat, but he mimed the act of reaching across and stabbing somebody.
God.
And I've never had a rideshare driver walk me through their stabbing technique while they're driving. So, you know, I think that it might be a tough thing to speak in blanket terms on. But I can understand how having a terse exchange with somebody and then them parking might put you on edge. I just love the visual of you running through Albuquerque with your wheelie backpack in your arms, tearing through an apartment complex. I'm sorry it happened, but funny visual.
It was scary. So that got my adrenaline really hopped up. And yeah, and I was like, I get why women now aren't honest with guys and they're always super agreeable because you're like, this dude could just flip the fuck out. I get it now.
Exactly.
It happened to me. But anyway, got Santa Fe. Love Santa Fe. Big fan. It felt to me like Brooklyn and New Mexico. Super cute town.
Okay.
Love the food. They throw green chili on everything.
Love
That's
that green
their
chili.
thing. It's great. It's
Love
great.
green
And Jake, I got to give you props because every other person was like, New Mexico? You mean meth town? But you were like, no, Santa Fe's dope.
Santa Fe's the spot.
I hate when people do that. When you say you're going somewhere, you're from somewhere, and they just shit on it.
Ew, you're going there.
Yeah, it's so rude, especially because I'm a Jersey girl.
Yeah.
And oh my God, is that like, besides Florida,
Jers.
is there any other state that gets shit on more?
It's not actively as like low hanging fruit. Definitely New Jersey and Florida, but I spent a lot of time growing up in Missouri, and that's a funny one because nobody knows. Everybody who's from Missouri will shit all over it. It is there's plenty of things to shit on Missouri for.
There's the arc, right?
Well, the arc,
Yeah.
catfish is really good. And you know, this is what the Bass Pro Shop in Springfield, Missouri is kind of wild.
Is that the pyramid?
That's in Memphis, I believe, Memphis, Tennessee, which has like a lot of Egyptian architecture through the city.
Oh, really? I didn't know it was a running theme.
Yeah, because
interesting.
Memphis, Egypt.
Never thought that.
It was
I didn't know that was an Egyptian
of antiquity.
word.
It was a major city in
interesting.
Egypt. I can't remember which
Memphis.
kingdom. But
I did not know
yeah,
that.
that's and actually a lot of the South took a lot of inspiration from Hellenistic cultures for city names. You see a lot of Greek names, a lot of Egyptian names.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, and then they just
You
didn't
have
keep
so
any
much
of the importance.
information.
It's
kind
promoter.
of useless
It's
information
super
as
useless.
well.
Well,
like-
no, I think this is
But it's
good
really
PR for the
cool.
South. Like, well, hold on. Yeah, we had some bad times and we did some bad things, but hey, culture. We like culture. Memphis, based on Egypt.
That's the thing is like you go there and all the culture is like really like they're not worried about the parts of the culture that are cool.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
worried
yeah.
about the why can't we have that flag? that kind of culture. And but like in Nashville, they have a scale replica of the Parthenon there that they built for the World's Fair. Yeah, it's a consistent theme throughout the whole region.
Wow.
But Missouri, like I was saying, people have never been there. They don't know anything about it, but they just know it's bad. And they don't have a lot of jokes about it. It's just like, oh, I've heard Missouri's super shitty, right? And it's like you don't have a lot of
Nice to meet you.
there's individual parts of it that it's a beautiful state, super green. If you like rivers and lakes, you're in luck. It's a beautiful place to be, but there are so many problems. If you look at like state rankings on a lot of things, it's a lot of
Appalachia,
really shitty.
Isn't it? Is that
no,
right?
that's the that's like mid East Coast mountainous regions. Missouri it's kind of a weird no man's land between being a Midwest state, a Southern state, and more of like an Oklahoma, Texas, Western state.
Okay.
Because
right in the
where
middle
it's
there,
located.
yeah.
There's colloquially there's 7 states within Missouri. My family happens to be from one of the most southern parts of Missouri, the Ozarks. That's considered one of the most like southern aspects of Missouri.
Interesting.
So Santa Fe.
Yeah, I didn't learn anything about Santa Fe compared to what Jake knows about Missouri, but it's super pretty. It's super walkable. Love that.
Love that.
And anyway, we go. We have a lot of green chili. Then we went to like a steakhouse there. And my father, the poop hider, which by the way, he will defend. He wants to defend himself.
Okay. We should
Please
get him
bring
on the pod.
I warned him. I was like, nobody took your side, but I will probably be the only one to do that.
You told him I think he's a Bavarian folklore monster.
He didn't respond to that accusation.
Okay.
But he's like, I want to defend myself, and we've been arguing over text. So anyway, the poop hider gives a 20% tip on Thanksgiving Eve. I thought this was a little bit cheap for Thanksgiving Eve. And so I threw down a $20 bill and on top of the receipt. And then super ostentatiously, my dad puts his arm around the server and is like, my son wanted you to have this. And I was like, Dad, please don't. But anyway, she ended up giving me her number.
I think that was good of your dad to.
Yeah, it was an
let him-
alley-oop. I had to give him the credit.
He was being a little wingman there.
Yeah. And it worked out great. We actually ended up doing a lot of fun stuff in Santa Fe. We even went roller skating in Albuquerque, which was nice.
Oh, God, I love it.
Yeah.
So it was roller skating, not rollerblading.
Actually, she opted to rollerblade, which she had to pay extra for. By the way, I could not, but it was $15 to roller skate for all day.
Oh, that's good.
And I was like, how much is the skate rental? And they're like, it's included. I was like, that's wrong. Nobody charges like that, Albuquerque. This is too cheap.
Albuquerque or Santa Fe?
Oh, you were at Albuquerque by then.
Because I was flying to the airport. She was super nice. She took me to the airport. So we had a great time together. Then, so I was like, great, that was my birthday, and I pushed my flight back so that we could hang out. It was great. Come back to LA, and I'm strangely energized. Usually after a flight, it's like, kill me with a gun. All I want to do is be home. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the bus. There's a bus that takes you to downtown LA and it's only $10 instead of taking like $100 Uber. And then I can just take a $10 Uber from downtown LA.
Yeah.
Take the bus, get to Union Station, which is actually a pretty attractive train station.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's kind of a looker. And I'm texting my dad about trauma on my phone, like we're having some argument about the nature of trauma. Typical father-son interaction.
Oh, that poop finder.
I know, right? Poop hider. He says he claims it cannot be found.
First, I must find the poops, and then it is only then that I may hide them.
So I'm walking through Union Station, one hand texting with my right hand, like loosely holding my phone, and guy grabs my phone out of my hands. Tall guy, got like about a foot on me, pretty lanky. And he's like, and I was like, sir, please. And he's like, what did you say? And I was like, please, sir. Like, I was like, what does he want me to say? Because I'm pretty sure those are all the words I said. Please, sir, please. He then like fake throws my phone, like he's going to throw it, but doesn't actually throw it. And my eyes track him and then look back at him. And he's like, look at you. You're like a dog. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm a dog. Please, sir, please, my phone. Please give it to me.
I'll be whatever you want.
Whatever you want me to be. And he's like, what did you say? And I was like, please, sir, phone, give. Like, I don't know what he wants from me. And he finally like puts my phone out and he's like, take it. And then I thought it was going to be another fake out. So I like didn't break eye contact with him as I took it. And then right as he walks away, security comes up and they're like, what's going on here? And I was like, My phone almost got taken. I don't even know. But yeah, it was the weirdest thing.
That is weird as fuck.
Security was like, yeah, I think he's homeless. And I was like, he didn't really look homeless. So like a homeless person. But
do you think he was really ever truly trying to steal it, or is he just trying to fuck with you?
Yeah, it was a power play, I think.
Seems like it.
Power
Or maybe he heard like your reaction. You were like, please, sir. And then he was like, I gotta fuck with this guy.
I think that might be it.
I was gonna sell his phone for like $50, but now I'm just gonna fuck with you a little bit.
That's worth $50 to me. Get a grown man to say he's a dog, I guess. You know?
I do appreciate. I think that you had some really interesting survival tactics there where you immediately didn't factor in any kind of pride, ego. It was just like, whatever it takes to get my fucking phone back right now. I don't care. That shows an elevated humanity, I think.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it was all instinct. I mean, looking back, I'm like, he grabbed the phone from the side. If he had just grabbed it and ran the opposite direction, I had a heavy backpack on and my wheelie bag. And even though I did run in Albuquerque, like there's no way I was going to catch this guy. So I think either he was, going through some kind of mental illness, or you might be right, Jake. Maybe he just wanted to.
That's just how he gets his kick. That's how he gets his kick. And like, I think everybody should stand up for themselves. When I say elevated humanity, I'm not saying like be passive in all situations. But when you're dealing with somebody who's clearly on some kind of ego trip, sometimes the best thing you can do is just fucking placate them.
Yes.
Like it really doesn't matter how they look at you. They're fucking cuckoo bananas, not to belittle mental illness.
Yeah.
But if that's what you're getting joy out of in the day, I don't care what you think of me. I just want my fucking phone back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did size him up at one point and I was like, I might be able to take this guy. He was very lanky, but he was a lot taller than me, but he gave it back. So nothing happened.
I mean, and granted, I'm speaking from a place of privilege here because I take up a lot of space, but like I have learned that like the other way to go with that is just making them thinking you're crazier than they are. Ooh. And like that, but that takes a certain amount of confidence in your own abilities to handle the situation
I don't know
as it
if
escalates.
Like he takes my phone and I'm like, that's my food. Give it back. I don't know what I would say.
Or like something and granted, this worked a lot more in like a way that you could immediately like de-escalate a lot of fights is like you say something so fucking ridiculous that it takes them out of the fight or flight mode. Like if it say you just took my phone and I wheel around, it's like, hey man, I'll shit on your shoes. That's like a good way of just like fucking what? Here, take it.
Yeah,
get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
bad example, but like just going like insane if you're willing to see things escalate.
Yeah.
But also at this point in my life, I just recommend don't escalate. Just solve the situation and get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, so it was no big deal, and it was a big final note on the crazy Thanksgiving birthday weekend. So I made it out alive. Yeah, and I think we all did.
All's well that ends well.
Nailed it.
That's
First try.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Did you make that up just now, Shannon? That's wonderful.
Really
that's an SD original right there.
That's an SD original. Actually, that's so funny that you say. All right, so you guys know Christmas style?
No.
You don't know Christmas style. Okay, so if you get an enchilada, you can get red sauce or green sauce.
And then you get both.
Or you can get Christmas style, which is both. And so we were at some random Santa Fe cafe, and they were like, yes, Martha, whatever, Rodriguez works here, and she actually made up Christmas style. And I was like, no, she fucking didn't. I never heard that in my life. Martha made it up. No way.
No way.
And so, yeah, we were just going off.
Danny just blew into New Mexico and started kicking over every rock he could for some beef.
Right, I know, right?
Lyft drivers, random dudes at the airport, Martha.
Yeah. Well, it's something you could do, right? If it's a generic enough cliche, someone can be just like, yeah, I made that up. And it's like, all right, you know.
Yeah, who's going to challenge you on it?
Yeah. Actually, this completely bombed at a party yesterday. I was trying to talk to some women. So I went to a party at my gym. And
we didn't get much info on that. What does that mean?
It was literally a holiday party at this like fancy gym I go to.
So you're in a cult.
It's a cult. Yeah, actually, they are a CrossFit gym, but I don't do the CrossFit part.
Okay.
Did you work out first and then you guys party?
No. It's just like a holiday party at the gym. It's a really big gym. And surprisingly, they got cookies, like big, thick cookies.
Nice.
And I was like, I have many talking points about big, thick cookies.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you pretty much exactly what I told. So there's this girl eating a cookie. And then I was like, oh, I can talk about this. And maybe it'll be a conversation.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, these big cookies sure are good. Hey, it's crazy. And then she brought up Levain, which is the original original gigantic cookie place. This is like a New Yorker point of pride.
Okay.
And there's all these derivatives in New York called Chip City and Ooey Gooey Cookies and all these like riffs on it, right? Basically.
Mm-hmm.
But separate of that, some derivative wannabe in Utah made up like crumble cookies.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard about this?
Yeah, they're very popular right now.
But they have like, I think they have over 100 locations, whatever. There's a shit ton of them. And then there's some other cookie maker like Dirty Dozen or something. I forget what it's called. Crumble is like suing the shit out of Dirty Dozen. And they'll be like, hey, we made up cookies. And it's like, what? Neither of you guys made this up. Stop.
Yeah.
And this is a cookie lawsuit that's happening. And I said all this at the gym last night, and she just kind of looked at me like, okay, you've said a lot about cookies there, haven't you? And I was like, okay.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
I've fallen into that pitfall
They
so
walked
many
away
times.
right away.
We were just talking about it. I have approximate knowledge on many things that are not of interest to everyone. So I've learned part of me mastering my own charms is knowing when and when not to share with people. Like, oh, well, this is why Jeff Foxworthy made so much money in stand-up comedy. Like, not everybody cares about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is good.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my holiday party story. But Jake, you were texting us that you went to a holiday party and things got interesting there as well.
Yeah, and I think holiday party is a very generous description of what had happened. So for the folks at home, bit of context: I went out to see my parents in Arizona for the holiday, and the idea this week was it was just going to be quiet. It was just going to be them. Myself, they have had a hell of a year dealing with the fallout of my aunts passing away. They're dealing with a lot of different aspects of it that have, in a lot of ways, taken over a good portion of their lives. And part of that is my aunt was a very magnanimous woman. She made friends very easily. She made impacts on people very easily. And you know, if you ever were lucky enough to meet her, you understood it. She was a special person to lock into and have a conversation with. I hope everybody has at least one person like that in their lives. However, the problem with that is after somebody like that passes away, there is some people who aren't great at dealing with grief. And even people who, who knew the person face to face, they could recall each other's names or whatever, they might overinvest in how much their relationship really meant to the person who passed.
Right.
And part of people who have a hard time dealing with death can be aggrandizing the importance that they had in this person's life. So the context of this dinner was
kind of like a blank check.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the context of this dinner, and I found out that my parents have been having to deal with this periodically of random people showing up and just sort of like basically wanting a tour of the funeral house and wanting to feel closer to my past aunt in this way. And my parents are very kind people. They have a very hard time turning people away from the door. They want everybody to sit at their table and have dinner if they need something and they need to feel kindness. So they've been very kind and open about that. This one particular guest, and keep in mind, I thought that it was just going to be me and my folks for the week. So I had gotten pretty high before this point of the evening started because it's just like, oh, it's just me and my folks. I can be a little high. My stepdad and I smoke together. We have a great time. But I was pretty considerably high and just haven't. And then I find out, oh, cool. Two people that I don't know but knew me when I was a baby are coming by. Awesome. Everybody's favorite situation to be in.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But I figure, okay, it'll be fine. I'm going to get through the evening just fine. I'll be polite. I'll excuse myself to the patio, have some cocktails out there while they discuss, older adult stuff.
Yeah.
They come over. The first thing, we'll call her Glenda. The first thing that Glenda says to me, this is after an initial handshake and just like, I'm Jake, I'm Glenda, nice to meet you. The very next thing this woman says to me as I'm pouring myself a drink is, well, I almost never drink, maybe 1 or 2 glasses a year. Of course, my father would get blind drunk and beat my mother mercilessly. Of course, then at 46, I discovered he wasn't really my father. This is the first thing this person has said to me.
That's like her party story that she brings out every single time.
Oh my God.
That's gotta bring the razzmatazz story for Glenda.
That's a lot too. Like I think
Yeah,
just
it's a
one
lot
of
to
those
unpack.
would have been enough.
And And all I can manage from that is just like, I did not know that. That was all I could come up with at that point. And I'm immediately going through the Rolodex of all the conversations we were having in one of the last eps about handling terse moments at a Thanksgiving thing. It's not Thanksgiving. This is not my family member. And it's only terse because she just revealed to me some super intimate family secrets and just kind of left that like, cool, we're getting to know each other.
Was her energy, and I loved your impression of her, but it made her hard to read. Was there a lightness to it, or was it kind of dark and like needy?
It was like lightness covering up a very grim tone. It was like she knew it was as weighty as it was, but she was still trying to make it sound funny, so it was okay to tell. You know what I mean? Then almost right after that, and this is as I'm sort of starting to calibrate of like, okay, what's the most polite way I can spend approximately like 5 minutes in this room and get away with it? She then launches into a lot of like, I'm sorry, this is just my read, very performative. I'm so sad that your aunt died. And it's that thing of just like, well, I was actually related to her, so this is a little hard for me to listen to. But, you know, everybody's grieving their own way, and I wasn't thinking too much of it. And fast forward a little bit, and this is when I checked out on the night, and when I was just like, okay, I'm not being a dick. This person is grossly out of line. She started passively and then very directly pressuring my mom to give her things that belong to my aunt that she could then gift to her adult daughters. And that was when that's when I was out. That's when I was, because at that point, and we talked about it, it's, you know, I think that there's a fine line between, you have to read the room of, am I doing the morally right thing by telling this person off, or am I serving myself and telling them off because it will be cathartic for me? At that point, I recognize that my parents are dealing with something that is socially political for them at this point. They're dealing with the fallout of somebody's estate that has a lot of complications to it. And
wait, is this your aunt that owned the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She had a nonprofit that was very, very high profile. And it had a lot of people who wanted to get behind it in a lot of ways. And those people developed relationships that didn't really exist with her. So that was part of where the begging for trinkets rubbed me wrong, because she is sort of monolithic to some people within this nonprofit field that she was in. And that was kind of my point of like, I could really cause a scene right now, but this person's not related to me. This isn't about me in any way. I'm just here while my parents are hosting somebody that they chose to have in their home. So I had to separate myself from the situation as a member of the family and look at it more like I was at people that are very close to me's house, and they had some guests over that weren't really a great time.
And but from what I remember of her house, she had really amazing decorations. And like her house was gorgeous.
She was
like all
very
over
curated.
The world.
She traveled a lot. She picked up a lot of stuff that meant a lot to her. So like, it wasn't like she was just asking for, and that was all. It was also just grim and weird and morbid to me of like, oh, there's a will. Were you not in the will? That sucks, because that will was very clear about where stuff went, but it was just such a like, it was, I had a very hard time hiding my, to be honest, disgust. When she asked it of like, I went slack-jawed and made eye contact with, I'll look into my camera and just, this was the face I made at her. So she saw that look on my face. My mom sees that look on my face. She doesn't ask me anything about why I'm looking at her like that. She just kind of pivots back to her pitch. And my mom very gracefully just sort of Mr. Miyagi'd it into a like, you never asked that question and we are just going to finish this dinner. But yeah.
Seems like she's very unaware.
Oh, no, terribly unaware person. I will say she did give me one just gem of a boomer line where she saw my parents' stove in the kitchen, which happens to be an electric range, and just unprompted said, well, our great and fearless leader, Joe Biden, wants to get rid of all the natural gas. What are we supposed to do? Cook on electric ranges? And it was just like, well, there's one right there. And like that did just make you dinner. So maybe that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if the planet didn't die.
Bizarre criticism.
But also like Joe Biden's definitely not getting rid of natural natural gas. He loves that sweet, sweet, sweet oil money. Num, 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 num. So I don't know what the fuck she's talking about.
Yeah, this says that she doesn't sound too together.
No, and that's part of the reason why it was easy for. Also, like, it's an empowering thing where when you're the outspoken kid and you are always told to like keep the peace or whatever, realizing now as an adult, it's like, oh, I can just leave. Like, I can leave. Nobody can say shit. Like, I finished eating. I don't owe it to you all to sit here and listen to this
you
bullshit.
You kept updating us. You're like, I'm outside now.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it in there.
You're saying it more like it was Josh Brolin, and to me it was more like I felt more like Matthew McConaughey, very, very high of like, that was a crazy situation I was in out there, but I'm not in there anymore, so it's all good, baby. But no, it was super awkward, and it was one of those situations where it was really weird and like kind of made me reckon with like my own processing of my aunt's death for a little bit. But for the most part, I was just like, wow, what an incredibly socially awkward situation to put a bunch of people that are having you over for dinner in. But anyway, if Glenda hears this, I'm very proud of you for learning how to operate podcasts. I'd be happy to tell any of this to your face next time I see you.
I think this is a testament to how good of a person your aunt was. Because she indulged a lot of Glenda's bullshit.
It was that she saw, and I think that this is a great gift, and I think I have it to a little bit of an extent, certainly not the extent she did, but she can see the best version of the person that she is talking to, no matter who it is. She can see
that's amazing
who you want to be, what your deal is, and she speaks to that person, and it makes you feel great. So that's, I'm not trying to cast wide nets here. This is specifically about one person that I had an interaction with that was, as doctors would say, cuckoo bananas.
I think that's a diagnosis of her if I ever heard one.
True.
Well, thanks for sharing. And guys, thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon. We have over 140 bonus episodes. We just recorded one with Jake and Shannon here, of course. Over 130 of them have Sarah on them.
That's where we say the good swears.
Yeah. And please don't stare at me when you whisper. No. But I have gotten a lot better. I wanted to cover some listener mail we got. I know I've been a little sloppy on the submissions, though we just did send out a bunch of the new stickers. Please put your address in the form on the website. I think we're going to be able to send out one more batch before Christmas. God knows you want your AITA pod stickers before Christmas. Give me a little Christmas present. Join us on Patreon. You can do call-in shows. We got a great Discord. Jake is on the Discord. Shannon's on the Discord.
Sure am.
Still
trying to figure it out. Accidentally FaceTiming people by accident.
That's some good guerrilla marketing, though.
You could not FaceTime the listeners, Shannon.
You did. Somebody did reach out to me and be like, "Hey, was there a raffle that I got entered in?" Because Shannon FaceTimed me at 3:30 in the morning saying you won the raffle. It's me, Shannon. Congratulations.
Is that what you said? They said, "Are you the Shannon from the episode?" Yes, like I'm the Shannon.
That's me.
But no, this is a great look. I this situation did get me some kickback in the Discord. This is kind of a deep cut, but this is episode 371, AITA for taking my 7-year-old to AA. And I had a heavily dinged mother because this felt like an inappropriate thing for her to do. And I did move for her to be a YTA on that. But I wasn't trying to say, and I think we can get caught in the philosophy of AITA. I wasn't trying to say she's a bad person. Obviously, it's an incredibly good person thing to stop drinking and go to AA. It was just that on this particular situation, I thought that she was, but I thought this was a really good letter here. They write, "I'm the child of alcoholics. My mother and her boyfriend both drank heavily as well as smoked. My mom never admitted that she had a problem. Had she admitted she had the addiction and sought help, even if she had to bring me to meetings, I would have been forever grateful. It would have shown me that adults make mistakes and are able to overcome them, and that would have taught me that reaching out when you need help isn't a sign of weakness. As a 35-year-old woman, I still struggle to talk to people or even to admit that I'm struggling because of the example that was set. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see the mother in this situation as an asshole. And I don't really disagree with you, OP. And thank you for sharing your experience."
It's nice to get other perspectives.
I think so. So grateful for all the listeners. This is a lot more trivial. Another listener wrote in to say that I pronounce ketchup incorrectly. It's not actually ketchup. It's ketchup with an
Ketchup
E.
with an E, yeah. Ketchup.
Ketchup, not ketchup.
Personally, I don't think it's an important enough condiment to solicit this kind of
Yeah.
criticism.
You just said it was the sluttiest, sexiest
Well,
condiment.
see, that's why you got to tune in to the
Bonus.
bonus episodes.
There's
we get
two
into
different Jakes.
there's
There's-
this is Jake Davis, but then on the bonus episodes you get Jakey Tuesday.
Oh boy, I thought it was gonna be Jacques David.
Also, Jakey After Dark is the other one. But no, so what I'm saying is that like, yes,
Important enough condiment. What are you talking about? It's the #1 condiment in the world. All right, maybe not the
No,
world, in
just
America.
America. Just America.
Ethnocentrism.
It's-
alert.
Okay, excuse me.
Gotta
Our
be-
world. Okay.
Oh, it's our world now.
Imperialist
Now we
Shannon.
live here. You guys are
Wow.
making
I
me
guess it's just
look
America's
bad.
world now.
What I mean by that is like it is essentially red sugar paste. That's
Yeah.
all. It's red sugar
I
paste.
think that's fair.
I don't care what you call it. Catsup, ketchup, whatever. Ketchup, whatever. Ketchup.
Catsup. Wait, I think it's just regional. Don't you think?
Well, some people do say catsup,
Because you,
which is
Well, not
crazy.
yeah.
you and I
that's
both
like
say
an
ketchup,
old-fashioned
and I'm
thing.
West Coast, you're East Coast.
Yeah, so he's Arizona.
I'm just Danny ketchup. I say room. People say I say
Danny
room,
ketchup.
rum.
Do you say rum?
I'm gonna go
That's
to
a
my.
Boston thing.
Well, I have a podcast in my room.
That's
I feel like I
fine.
said okay.
You said it
Room.
right.
I guess you take a
Podcast in
little
my
bit
rum.
of like the sauce off the first O because I say
Yeah.
room.
Room.
Maybe
There's people who say like the
Sound like John
WH really
Lennon.
strong. You ever hear that?
rum
Or like-
that.
Oh. They put
Yeah,
they put
yes.
a whistle on
That
it.
drives
yeah.
me crazy.
Family Guy drove that one into the ground.
It's
we can't
like,
exploit
we
on that
can't
one
do
too
that.
much.
What in the front of it?
Yeah, the
Boom.
yeah the
Whom?
whip.
Whip.
Whom?
Yeah,
It's like okay.
this is just annoying
relax.
ASMR at this point.
Yeah.
Does anybody else's dad say yellow instead of hello?
I'll do that
Oh,
for
that's
fun.
cute.
but-
Yeah.
But there
Yellow.
are people who don't yellow.
Yellow.
Yeah.
I like that one.
That does remind me though when you said Jakey Tuesdays, because one of my favorite stand-up jokes of yours is about how you ordered Mountain Dew on a date.
Oh yeah.
And
This
then
is this before I drank and I was younger and didn't know how to look classy. Not drinking on a date. So yeah, I believe the bit was just like, oh yes, the lady will have a bottle of your finest Mark West 1987 Pinot Noir, and I shall have a Mountain Dew.
I think about this
Mountain Dew.
every time I drink Mountain Dew. I'm like Mountain Dew, actually. Feels good.
From Chateau de Extreme.
Yeah. Wishing everybody a very happy Spotify Rap Day who celebrated. We got this pretty fun submission. I'll let you guys be the judge here. AITA for listening to the pod for almost 30,000 minutes this year and
wow.
not subscribing to the Patreon.
Oh
That's
my god, that's
amazing.
me basically.
No, I respect that.
Shannon?
I
No.
know. I
Stick to your
know.
guns. I'm proud of you.
You gotta give him credit. I started listening to the pod over a year ago. Last year I listened over 10K minutes. I've just kept going. This year I spent 29.1K minutes with the pod. This means that I've listened to the pod over 670 hours, which is almost 28 days straight. I listened to the old episodes over and over again, even the ones where Danny upsets all the women, including me.
She's just a masochist.
But I don't really even think about the possibility of hearing all the bonus episodes. Also, I'm just a student, so I really don't have much money. For real, I don't even know why I've gotten so fixated on this particular pod, but listen to you every day. So AITA.
Well, thank you for the commitment on that.
Wow,
And we just got here, but
amazing.
thank you for putting in that much time.
Wow, Danny.
The
What
record
a
actually
compliment.
is held consistently, though. It's and you did great here, OP. I'm proud of you. But it's a young person, a kid named Dawson. He
Mhm.
won last year with 36K
Damn.
minutes, and I was like, I did the math. I was like, there's not even that much pod that exists. And he said that he listens to sleep every night.
That's I do the same thing. Not with this show, Danny. No offense, you don't exactly
I
have
think
a
that's
sleeping voice.
reasonable.
But I do listen to podcasts while I'm going to sleep at a
Yeah.
lower volume. So like I think I topped out at around 36,000 minutes this year. But that's falling asleep, and then also I drive for a living. I'm in
Yeah.
my car all the time.
But wait, is it a specific pod, or you're saying podcast?
I'd say
generally?
it's sort of a top three. My brother and me. How did this get made? And stuff you should know. Those are kind of the top three. Lore kind of honorable mention in there as well.
I was a little butthurt when I first got this. Like, I fall asleep to your podcast thing because I was like, it's funny and I'm funny and why are you? But I actually have really come to take it as a tremendous
Huge
compliment.
Yeah,
because it makes them feel it's a comfort. They feel secure.
That's kind of how The Office was for me forever.
Sure.
I would just have it on in the
interesting.
background.
I think that's why, like, I can still watch The Office to this day, but it's one of those shows that's like the holes have started presenting itself like, oh, Jim's basically just bullying a neurodivergent person for 5 seasons.
When you told me that, it ruined it for me. I was so upset.
Once you realize that Jim Halpert was just a creepy helicopter dude that wasn't taking no for an answer while simultaneously bullying his boss and the one like non-typical neurodivergent Dwight and Michael, he was relentlessly bullying all of them and also big-shotting the entire office at all times.
I know. I didn't like him again after that, and I had the biggest crush on Jim.
It's everybody did.
Wait,
and like,
Jim is the one who likes the girl.
Yeah,
Yes.
John Krasinski.
You're saying John
breakout
Krasinski's the
character.
bully?
His character was absolutely.
If you rewatch it with that lens,
we should write this into an AITA, Jake. This is a good
Jenna
take.
Fisher and Angela Kinsey, they both mentioned this on their own podcast where they talk about The Office, but Pam and Roy, her initial relationship, Roy was a dickhead and not in his right mind, but he never did anything actually fucked up to Pam through the whole show. He was just shitty at being a boyfriend.
What? He left her like on their first date.
That's just a story that happens in the show. We
True.
never actually see Roy do anything other than just being unattentive and it's only after Pam dumps him and he goes down this destructive style. No, he was shitty. He was shitty, but the excuse in the show was like, oh, it's not creepy that Jim's hanging around this woman that's in a committed relationship that wants to be in that relationship.
She didn't want to be in it.
She did, though, by constantly being in it, and Jim was not taking no for an
guys,
answer.
This is not the Office pod. That records tomorrow, guys.
God damn it.
Point
I'm
is,
getting it
yes,
wrong.
Jim was a shitty dude through most of The Office. He starts improving as a character near the end when the show wasn't.
We need to do a lore / The Office episode where Jake goes deep on his.
I have such a love-hate relationship with that show. Like, I want to hate it as much as I hate Friends, but I still love so many individual.
I'm upset now.
Oh boy.
Moving on.
Another letter came
Friends is
in.
bad. It's okay. Let it go.
All right, Jake, we're cutting your mic. You're killing us. No. Somebody else wrote in AITA for skipping work on Thanksgiving, and they wrote a situation, but I just kind of shortened. I just really kept it tight here. OP was working a part-time job. They notified a manager a full month out. Okay. Manager said she'd figure something out, but then they just keep getting all this shit from their shift lead. So, OP, I just wanted to let you know you're not the asshole, and the shift lead is a month out. That's enough notice for a part-time job.
100%.
Give me a break.
Yeah, fuck that shift lead.
Guys, please do submit. I'm sorry that I haven't been the best about it, but I'm going to turn it around. And we're going to do a lot more listener submissions and whatnot. So we're going to go ahead and do a couple now. Our second story of the day, AITA for wanting my mother-in-law to delete my partner's ex-wife on social media. Excited about that. But first, AITA for leaving my friend's wedding right after the ceremony. Listener submission episode. Stay in your seats, folks. I was a bridesmaid in my ex-best friend's wedding. Everything was supposed to go great, but I started the divorce process from my husband 4 days prior.
Oh, rough.
So I wanted nothing to do with the wedding. And my ex was in the wedding too. Gosh. The day of the wedding came and I couldn't control my emotions. I was bawling hysterically, not wanting to face my ex in a wedding environment. I was supposed to be all happy and supportive, but I just couldn't. Everyone asked me if they wanted me to go get the bride, but I kept saying no as I didn't want to bother her on her big day. Well, she eventually comes inside, comes over to me, puts her hands on my face and tells me to get it together, pays me on my cheeks and walks away.
Pecks me?
Pecks me? I think that's what that meant. I felt like she was so insensitive to my situation that I just became angry. Previously, she had mentioned we needed a girls' night to drink and talk about what's going on. I tried to talk and she always cut me off and changed the subject, so she never cared what I was going through. So I figured I don't care anymore either. I took the bridesmaids photos before the wedding and during the ceremony, but as soon as the ceremony was over, I walked back inside, got my things, and drove away. She messaged me 2 months later saying I was selfish for not apologizing to her and that I had to make the day all about myself. It blows my mind how I'm being made out to be the bad guy when she could have just shown a tiny smidge of empathy. AITA.
This one's tough.
Yeah, because I mean, my general rule of thumb on situations is like, if you're not feeling safe, wanted, or okay in a situation, with a few exceptions, obviously, it's okay for you to leave. You're allowed to feel comfortable in wherever you are, and if you don't feel comfortable, again, there's exceptions, but for the most part, I think you're in the clear to get out of a situation where you don't feel right.
Yeah. Oh, I can really see both sides of this. I'm having a hard time, like, whose side I'm on here, because I understand that she just started the divorce process, and God, your ex being there is probably one of the most painful things. But I don't know. It's like a lot of times you go to weddings to be there for the person.
And she was doing the photos?
She did the photos.
But was she hired to also do photography?
No. She took the photo. Like, she was in the photos.
So that was where I was trying to withhold like a real barrage of criticism. Was you were hired to be the photographer, and you're like, okay, all right, then never mind.
They did the professional photos
Misunderstood
before, and then
That's
the ceremony happened.
Jake, I'm so happy you're here, so I can be like, this is clearly a bro error that I would make as well, because I'm always like, how do weddings work again? Take me through it one more time.
He never understands it. He's like, wait, because you know how it's like the wedding party is the bridesmaids and the groomsmen, and he's like, but we're all at the party. He doesn't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a real toughie. I mean, the only thing I could say was maybe just in terms of timing, did you have to do this 4 days before? You put everyone in a bad bind, and like, yeah, I get it. You can reach a breaking point with a thing, but usually when it's a long thing, a couple days is just doable.
Right. Like, just wait until after. And I know I also do see people's point where it's like, we shouldn't stop everything in our lives because like people are deciding to get married.
Yeah.
However, it's your best friend and you knew you were going to see your husband, ex, whatever, in the wedding party. So yeah, maybe just put it off for a little bit, and also maybe kind of just suck it up and try and get through the night.
Well, I don't think that's realistic. And I'm definitely against suck it up. I think it's possible to suck it up before you've let in the dam break and been like, we're breaking up and this is really over, right? Because that's what happened 4 days ago. But once you've gotten that chaos started, like, I don't know if you're going to be able to suck. And not everyone is going to be able to do the 4-day delay. I've just been in points of relationships.
Yeah, I kind of want a little bit more information about.
It's tough.
I think something to remember too, and this is my personal read on it. I think weddings still function as a social truce within circles where like, if the bride's mom and dad are long divorced and there's a lot of bad blood, they are usually always going to be at the wedding and they suck it up, which again, Danny, I'm usually right there with you on the anti-suck it up train. It's not a constructive phrase to tell somebody, but
in that case, it's more like, don't bring your hostility.
Right. It's not about you. And yeah.
Well, in her case, it's not, because in her case, it's kind of like she's bawling hysterically.
And that's where it's like, I think that her friend doing the pecks on the cheek, suck it up. I can understand why somebody is trying to show you like, I understand, but can you not do this right now? Please, not right now.
So much on my plate.
I think y'all are right where deciding to engage in this 4 days before this situation that is coming up, that's a rough call. And I think that there is a certain amount of like, I don't think you did anything wrong by leaving. I don't think that's the wrong thing.
I agree. I'm not dinging. I was just pointing it out.
There was a better way to take your leave. And I think that the best way to do that would have been in a note. I think a note would have been, explaining like, I will apologize very profusely to you face to face, but I can't be here right now. And you're right. This day is about you. You don't need me here complicating things.
Right. Making it worse.
Yeah. So I think that it's just a matter of how it was executed. I think it's interesting that it took 2 months for a follow-up conversation to happen as a result. That's a little strange to me. But ultimately, again, I don't think it's like, the fact is, if you're at a party and one person leaving ruins the whole thing, it wasn't that good of a party.
Right. I think her friend that was getting married definitely should have had way more empathy for her situation.
I think so. Like, I was thinking if I was getting married and my brother was like a wreck, I mean, God, I would take a moment and have a moment with him. It seems like she didn't even give her a moment. It was like, shut the fuck up.
I'm okay with somebody on their wedding day not being their best self in that situation. I agree with you. Ideally, yes, you should have been. But like, that's a case where I understand humans aren't perfect. And
but to your best friend?
Well, when she should have been like that is days before, when she was saying to her, if you ever need to talk, come over. And then anytime she would try and open up to her, OP would open up to her, she would change the subject. So I think in that moment, the bride should have been more understanding, but she wasn't even giving her the space then.
Yeah.
And so I can see as the OP just getting a peck and being like, get it together. And it's like, well, you wouldn't even listen to me when we were alone.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like maybe the camel that broke, or the straw that broke the camel's back.
But the camel, here's the thing though, right? The camel walked with a back already full of straw to the straw convention. So yeah, I think the camel maybe should have unloaded its straw before it decided it was time to go to the convention.
Well, she had to go though. The camel had obligations. He was the headliner. I mean, you're the best friend of someone. For me, I'm willing to say like, this is simply a really hard situation.
Yeah.
Everybody's super stressed out about their wedding. And as much as I'd like to be like, it's not that big of a deal, I think, we've seen it again and again. It's a very big deal. And it's a very stressful thing.
Oh, yeah.
Performative. I would argue not pleasurable. I don't feel like a lot of these wedding situations, I'm getting the energy that like, it's you know what it is? It's not the most fun night of most women's life. It's the perfect night. Right?
Why?
That's what I'm saying. That's how it's described. Like, my wedding needs to be perfect. Everything needs to be like this and that. It's not. Yeah. I need to have the best time possible.
Anytime people are like trying to make anything perfect, the fun is completely taken out of the situation.
I'm talking about, Shannon. That's what I'm talking about. Are you with me?
Gotta have wiggle room. Gotta be loosey-goosey.
You have to. Going with the flow can make for the most fun situations.
I think so.
And when you're holding onto the reins too tight, nobody's having a good time.
No. It's like adhering to schedules is always a good way to ruffle feathers. Like that's like really scheduled out weddings where they're moving people from one room to the next. That's always just like, all right, I guess we're at the fucking haunted mansion at Disneyland.
I did go to a wedding that did this really well. They had 3 different bands and each band would start playing and then so you would just naturally.
That's brilliant.
That was well done.
That's elegant. That tells you where the energy is.
That was well done. Yeah. They divorced 2 years later, but hey, the wedding was great. It doesn't guarantee you can really nail the wedding.
Short wedding, great ceremony or great after party. That's always.
Hey, what more do you want?
Actually, I kind of had a situation a little bit similar to this. My best friend was getting married and I was her maid of honor. And right before, not 4 days, but like a month before they got married, my current boyfriend and I, the one time we broke up, had broken up. And so I was in the thick of the heartbreak. And at that point, we didn't think we were getting back together.
Got it.
He was not at the wedding, luckily, unlike this situation. But I do remember like being very emotional. And I was also crying because I was like happy for her. But it was also like, oh man, like I was wanting to get married to that guy. And so I was having a lot of those emotions happening. But I was never putting them on her or making it noticeable to anyone else that I was having any sort of issues because I would never want to ruin her day or make anything about me.
Right. And that's a good instinct. It's I think it's a shame too because a wedding is a great place to have a single bounce back.
True.
When you've like processed everything and you're ready to get back out there.
Yeah.
Woo, at a wedding, get out of town. That's a fun place to be.
There, though, unfortunately,
I remember
that can happen a lot at weddings too, especially now that I'm 30.
The most primed I ever was like as a single person to be in a position of like maximizing results at a wedding. It was in Dallas, Texas, and it was a old Dallas money wedding. So super fancy, hundreds of people. And almost every person in comparable age to me was already married. So it was just, and it was
Dallas.
like me and the California guys were just like, well, all right, bar's open, I guess. That was kind of the read from everybody. But
that age now where it's just like everyone's married, it feels, at least back at home.
Yeah.
it's starting to come out. It's starting to happen.
Here
Noticing
now.
it out here too. Of like most of my friends are either circling it
Starting
or
to get
already
married,
pulled it.
yeah.
I'm still single, everybody.
There's no timeline, Danny. It just happens.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
It's fine.
I'm fine. I hung out with a friend from high school recently, and the whole time I was with him, every so often he'd be like, "But I'm doing pretty good, right?" And I was like,
no.
"Yep, again you are." But the fact that you keep saying it makes it seem like you're not really.
Yeah.
Not even a sharp inhale, living the dream. Asking you, I'm doing okay though.
Pretty good, all right. yeah, man, you are. So I guess the question is, look, I'm not ready to ding OP. I think OP tried to keep it together.
Oh, absolutely not.
You know, we can talk about how it could have been better, blah, blah, blah. But
Not absolutely not.
Look, people are imperfect, and a wedding is a place where imperfections are going to show a lot. Like
Yes,
I've
it's
cried at a wedding that
emotional.
had nothing to do with anybody else.
I cry at every wedding.
It wasn't like
I mean,
about the love.
Yeah,
not
but
like
no,
wedding.
I had like
I'm crying about the love.
I had like
Shannon.
I didn't
I'm
make
making
it.
a scene. It's about the love.
I didn't make it anybody else's problem, but I had like an existential crisis when I was like 23, 24 at a wedding.
Really?
Yeah, it was just like I've never been a problem drinker in the sense that if I'm drunk, I'm not a problem. I'm just kind of like doing my own thing, self-contained, being there.
not the exact definition, but
yeah, no, I know it's my own
I
kind
don't have
of
a problem. I had a problem for anyone. I just drink every day alone in my house.
You never have to deal with it, so it can't be a problem. No, but to say that like I'm not like causing a scene or anything, I'm just sort of off. Existing. And I just had like a random thought about like, fuck, I'm already this age. What the fuck is happening? And I had like a little mini breakdown and I cleaned myself up and got back out there and nobody noticed. But there's a lot of emotions built in there where even if you don't have an immediate trigger, like former partner is in the wedding party with you, it's easy to get caught up in that. So I think this is just people in a stressful situation making imperfect choices.
Right.
And I think
that's why.
Yeah.
I just think both of them should be giving each other grace.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. I do have some dings, not for OP, but for this other girl. I feel like she ignored her. She ignored her at the thing prior. Right? Because there was another opportunity before.
There's nothing worse than when you're trying to vent or talk to your friend about something serious and they're just like, yeah. And so anyway, back to me.
But were all those attempts at things related to the wedding?
No, I think she said I tried to talk.
Previously, she had mentioned we needed a girls' night to drink and talk about what's going on. So she knew something was going on. Mm-hmm. She acknowledged that something needed to be done. And then she did absolutely nothing. This was a best friend, according to OP, right? I'm going by the picture painted here. Then we get to the wedding. She's bawling hysterically, which, by the way, wouldn't she have foreseen that this might have been painful, given that the husband was also
I'm sure she was counting on it, and she was just also counting on her friend to not make a deal out of it, which isn't a fair ask.
Because I don't think there's anything either one of them can do. Obviously, they're both in the wedding party, meaning that they're both important people to both the bride and the groom.
The only compromise solution here is asking somebody to repress how they're feeling, and that's never a fair request to make on anybody. So honestly, the exit was the most graceful decision out of all this conflict. It could have been handled differently.
Yeah,
I think that's a great way to put it. That the exit was actually a kindness and a showing of respect.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong.
But
with
I
her
am
leaving.
dinging, guys. I think, look, I get it. The wedding is a big day. Blah, 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 blah. All she's going to do is peck her on the cheek and walk away and say, get it together. That's it for your best friend. You can't say, hey, guys, give me an Abigail 5 minutes. You can do that on your wedding.
Yeah,
you can.
That's true.
And personally, if my brother was feeling this way on my wedding day, I'd be like, hold the phone. We'll delay the wedding 5 minutes or whatever we got to do.
That
It'll be okay.
that might be a little bit of male privilege there. Because I don't think that you're going to have as much being asked on you that day. You're not going to have nearly as much.
Well, whatever, Shannon. Can you even delay the wedding 5 fucking minutes? People do. There's there's always one late person.
I can see myself probably getting a little bit terse with like if it was my best friend or my sister and I was the bride and I was just like, I can see being like, oh man, I just like cannot deal with this right now. I would like to think I'd be a little bit more compassionate in the moment, but I also can definitely see my best friends talking to me that way for sure, and my sister. But they're little bitches, so.
Yeah, I think I want to also give grace to the potential of the friend that's getting married. We don't know how much bullshit she's dealing with from other people because there's pressure from your in-laws. There's pressure from your parents. Like, there's a lot of expectations put on the day.
Did you make a vegan?
You're handling all this shit.
Exactly.
So I could see somebody that's in your inner circle asking something from you. You maybe having a ask of like, I'll do it with you fucking tomorrow. Just fucking hold it together for one day.
And you definitely let it out on your closest ones.
Which
like, is
sucks.
not right, but it's definitely what a majority of us do.
Yeah.
And so I can definitely see just being like, ugh. And then also, I'm making this up, but it could also be a little bit broken record with this OP.
That is a fair charge to mount. I had that thought as well. This has been going on for 5 years.
I've had friends that definitely, they tend to have moments like this when it's conveniently at a time where somebody else is getting the attention and the focus is on somebody else, and they miraculously decide this is when I'm going to have my big shit fit. I'm not putting that on OP, but it is something people do. It's not like a crazy rare personality trait.
I mean, that's the person at the party you were talking about. It's always me.
Yeah, it's like walk into a house full of people who are actually related to the person and tell them how much you miss them. Yeah.
But not just this behavior, but also her relationship with her soon to be ex-husband, like could be very broken recordy. I had a friend that was dating someone for like 7 years and it was just nonstop. Like it was always the same thing. And I was like, I just can't give you the same advice over and over and over again.
It's disrespectful to you at a certain point to keep coming back to you for the same thing.
Right.
Just like, what do I need to tell you for you to stop asking me about this?
Yeah.
And we're making this up.
Yeah, I'm not holding this as a reflection of OP.
I mean, they're a listener, so we're going to give them grace on that, but I think it's a fair question.
Maybe they can write in and give us a little bit more info.
Yeah, you can, dear listener. I was going to try to get a final ding because I am looking to get an NTA, and your friend is. But ultimately, I think Shannon is going to be the kind of officiant here on Bride Vibes. And I guess I do feel, though, like even though if you are the bride and you did kind of sideline your friend, and even though you had pretty good reasons, I just do kind of feel like the bride should have apologized. And I definitely can ding. I can ding. She messaged me 2 months later saying that I was selfish for not apologizing to her. That's a character attack. Those are against my conflict rules. Let me land the ding, Shannon.
Okay, ding.
You giving it?
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes.
My final takeaway on this is you're absolutely right. I think the main fault of the bride is how the follow-up happened, because I think post honeymoon, post like whatever wedding stuff happens, you reach out and say, hey, let's get a drink. Let's talk about that. Yes. I feel weird about how it went down, and you have a conversation. But you're right. The character attack's not fair. And, bringing up the potential of this being something that the bride has dealt with before, that's conjecture. I'm not putting that on
That's
OP.
conjecture.
But ultimately, I think this is, I don't think that enough happened here where somebody was really hurt. The mood wasn't wrecked. You didn't ruin the wedding. Right. You didn't ruin the party. You did the opposite of that.
Yeah,
you removed yourself because you clearly understood that you were probably making a little bit of a scene. So I think that was the right move.
Mature.
Nothing wrong with walking down the water slide. The other kids might laugh at you, but you're doing the emotionally mature thing.
That's right.
Walking down the water slide?
You're at a theme park, right? You go, or a water park, you go on one of the really big, tall, scary slides. There's always a kid.
Not the actual slide, but back down the stairs.
There's always one kid walking down, and everybody likes to poke fun at him. But you know what? Good for that kid. He's taking the hard walk. He knows himself.
Okay. What an angel.
You're worth love, little Jake. No, it's.
Whoa.
I didn't go to enough water parks for that.
Why don't you encourage a kid to go down the slide, though? Because he's just too afraid.
Well,
if he just
is that toxic?
I think if you're not feeling comfortable in the situation,
you can encourage him, but if he doesn't want to, then
that's fair.
I could honestly go no assholes here.
No. We landed my ding, Shannon. What are you doing about my ding? Okay. to me, after the wedding, I think you guys nailed it. There was really no dings to land, right? If we go to conspiracy town, fine, but we're not.
Mm-hmm.
Playing it as it lays, this was just a shitty situation. We had someone who was going through the rigmarole and the intensity of a wedding, which is a constant suck of attention. You've got the makeup lady and the food and the caterer and the wedding. There's all these motherfuckers that want you every single second. I get it. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
We've got, at the same time, this parallel problem with the divorce. She's trying to hold it together. She's trying to find space. There is no space, though, because she's got to figure out, the vegan cousins are here and they don't want the crab. It's a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, and as Jake pointed out beautifully, leaving the situation was actually really mature and the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So as the wedding ended, nobody was an asshole. It was no assholes here at that point. But then the bride, instead of saying what Jake said, which I thought was very reasonable, hey, things were weird. I'd love to get together and settle things out.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty reasonable. You didn't have to like take a sacrifice or say, I'm sorry there. Instead, like, let's agree to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
She took shots. She fired multiple shots. She said that OP was selfish for not apologizing to her and that I had to make the day all about myself, which is another form of characterizing her behavior in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jake nailed it with the really impartial. I liked how you said that. It was like, let's just get together and talk.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about what I felt. We'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, even in that conversation, that you shouldn't be throwing out things like, you made the day all about yourself. That's very accusatory and shitty. Instead, you say, I felt like, you weren't giving me my due on my day. That's more reasonable, I feel.
Yeah.
Okay, I could go NTA.
Yes. Jake, are you with me?
Yeah, I think it's an NTA and a do better on the bride.
AITA for leaving my friend's wedding right after the ceremony. We agree. It's not the asshole. Thanks for submitting, dear listener.
Thank you.
Guys, please rate, review, subscribe, join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. We got a Discord. We got tons of bonus episodes. We got Jake and Shannon in the Discord. Sarah's still in there too. But guys, it's a ton of fun. We love to see it. Please join us. And here we go. AITA for wanting my mother-in-law to delete my partner's ex-wife on social media. Is anybody else already lost as hell?
I had to reread it a couple
The way
times.
that you read it that time, I thought you were just going to end on delete my ex-partner, which is just like, that's a not so clever way to hire a hitman is what you're doing.
Yeah. We know what you're saying. The FBI knows all the synonyms. AITA for wanting my mother-in-law to delete my partner's ex-wife on social media. Okay, I think that's starting to click.
Got it.
My partner and his ex-wife separated a few years ago. She treated my partner horrendously for years, and after cheating on him, moved her new partner in immediately with the children my partner has with her. Recently, she has been commenting on all the mother's statuses and even tagging her in old photos, saying how much she misses her and can't wait to see her again. I appreciate she's the mother of her grandchildren, but I feel like any contact should go through my partner, as after all, he is her son. I feel like this has only been happening since she was aware he's in a new relationship, and I don't see why they need to communicate, least of all so publicly given the circumstances of their breakup. It also seems very fake. My partner reassures me his mother doesn't like her. I just don't understand the need for contact. AITA.
So when this first started, my mind jumped to I have several friends who still will passively follow previous partners on social media, not out of usually out of just curiosity. Like they're just like, I don't know, she was just kind of weird. I just keep it's, they were passing friends with her and, or them. And it's never really bothered me. Not
my
you.
Friends following my exes?
Yeah.
Oh, I would never bring that up. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't care. Right?
Yeah, no, that would be. Yeah, I would care. In certain contexts,
If
at certain time, not anymore.
If they had a passing social relationship with them, they're at the same parties.
But if they were so cute,
right? Once they're engaging,
pictures, that's so inappropriate.
And it's your mother-in-law, and there's kids in the picture, and she's with another guy already.
Well, I would say that. The situation, how she cheated and all of that is terrible. I don't think the mom should be, but if she's only commenting on pictures of her grandchildren, I could kind of understand that.
Yeah, that's true. But they did say old pictures.
Oh yeah, that
They
is
said
odd.
old pictures. So that's like some weird super
Tagging
shit.
her in old photos, saying how much she misses her and can't wait to see her again.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
Facebook's such a fucking cesspool.
I
know
honestly,
this is happening on Facebook.
Oh, of course. The
absolutely.
thing is, OP is a listener, so I'm biased. But the old pictures thing makes me think that this actually is not a communication at all with the ex-wife, but that it is communicating with OP.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
It's so weird. Who tags someone in an old
No,
picture?
and
Yeah.
a mom still being socially engaged with somebody who did that to their child, that's fucked up. That's a fucked up thing on that mom to do. Like, okay, yeah, mother of your grandchildren or whatever. Like, you can have a healthy passing relationship with somebody and not have the social whipped cream of engaging with each other on social media, which provides absolutely nothing to a functioning relationship.
Yes.
Because you're right. She's goading the partner.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think she's
that is
passive
what's
aggressively
happening.
communicating with the OP. Like, well, I still like the ex better, even though she cheated on my son.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Just
that,
ridiculous.
that is what I think's happening. That said, I do think let's just not, if we didn't have this thing about old photos, which is very bizarre, right? Because that's not appearing in her feed. She's going out of her way to go find those. That's weird. But I do think that policing other people's interactions with your exes definitely a toxic road to walk. And in a context like this, it's like, well, she does have a legitimate reason to communicate with this person. I'll give you that it's social whipped cream, Jake, but like, yeah, that's the mother of her grandchildren. She loves her grandkids. Like, I don't know. It's
Fucking have a human relationship. Don't like use it on Facebook in a way where you know other people are watching and like a little sick fucking
feels
game you're
performative.
playing.
yeah, no, that's fair. And I agree with you guys that it's performative, but I don't know that it crosses into wrong.
It doesn't, but that's the whole game for them.
If it is, but you know, I don't know. The average old person will post like an email address in their Facebook
the
status.
average old person exclusively uses Facebook for petty shit like this. That is why
I don't
Facebook
know,
still has a
man.
user base.
You really think that she knows the mechanics of like if you interact with so and so, that's going to show on so and so's feed? I don't know.
I think they know Facebook better than we do.
No, I
They're
agree
on
with
it
that.
all the time.
Yeah, the blue hairs came in, and the old term for blue hairs, not the weird conservative obsession they have with blue haired people now, but like blue hair meaning old women used to have like bluish wigs.
really?
Yeah, I just realized like, oh, that doesn't mean what it used to mean now because another stupid conservative
old
meme.
women used to have blue hair.
Yeah, that used to
Well, because
be.
it's like so silver, it's blue.
Yeah, it's like a reflection thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that meaning that they really came onto Facebook in droves and just bleh. Not that it was ever something that wasn't already ruined, but yeah. I got off of there very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, if I were the OP, I would not like that.
Yeah.
I would feel definitely personally attacked, even if that wasn't what was going on. That's how I would take it.
I just, if my mom was still actively engaged, even if we had children together, if my mom was actively engaging with somebody who cheated on me and our family and then moved in a new partner very rapidly into your grandkids' home,
Right.
creating an immense amount of instability within the household, like, I would be a little irritated that you're like, okay, I understand you needing to maintain a relationship with the mother of your grandchildren, but like maybe a little bit of like public solidarity with me would be cool.
Yes.
It's, I don't know. Seems weird. It just seems
Yeah.
weird.
It's how
I
much she
agree.
misses her and can't wait to see her again, not the children.
The
Right,
see
so-
her again
You're
thing
right,
too
you're
is
right.
also like you're with somebody, you're with your partner. Like why there's meat here, and I look, I don't know. I'm not a divorcee, and my one exposure to divorce was an incredibly, the closest example I ever had, it was a massively toxic event in my life. So maybe I'm looking at it through some harsh battle line lenses here.
Yeah.
But it just seems unnecessary and strange to publicly maintain a relationship with somebody who caused your son so much heartbreak.
Right.
That seems like a very reasonable way to put it. I think OP is basically on about that. The title literal, AITA for wanting my mother-in-law to delete my partner's ex-wife on social media. I would say that alone is a little weird.
Right. If it was just like, you know, if they just dated for a long time and they amicably broke up, adults are allowed to maintain friendships with whoever they want. That's what I was trying to say at the top of all this. But no, this isn't that though.
This isn't that. It's the engaging.
Yeah.
It's the commenting and the flirting almost. It's kind of flirtatious of like, I miss you. It's like, okay.
No, and it feels subversive, and it just feels like it's very its core intent is to incite. It doesn't feel like there's any need for that.
All of the statuses too, says OP.
Yeah, and it's also interesting that she then went to the partner, and then he was reassuring that his mom doesn't like her. Well, I don't know that that's true.
Yeah.
It seems like she definitely did like her as a daughter-in-law.
Or that well, maybe it is true and that she just doesn't like OP. And this is just signaling.
Right. So I feel like if I were the OP, I would maybe try and talk to my partner. I mean, seems like she did, but to try and just say, well, maybe she doesn't like her, but it seems like she's commenting on it to try and send me a message. Am I taking that the wrong way? Like, would your mom do that? Like, I don't know, maybe just have a little bit more of an open conversation with him.
Yeah.
And be like, does it bother you at all?
Right.
That she's kind of publicly almost siding with her. Like, if you were some random aunt or cousin that were to see that, you'd kind of be like, oh, that's kind of weird. Didn't she cheat on him?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's a good way to bring in the conversation. Does it bother you? Because it bothers me.
I got a wild one. I got a crazy idea.
There we go.
Delete Facebook and you won't see it ever.
I guess, but then you're just like feeding into her bullshit.
And you feed into it by still watching it. That's how you feed into it. If you just delete your Facebook,
but she probably needs Facebook for other stuff.
What do you need Facebook for?
Jake,
to find out when people's birthdays are.
That's like the one
we didn't know when Danny's
thing.
birthday was because he's not on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm fucking pissed.
That's the one thing. You got me there. It's the one thing. But you know what? We all got Google calendars. Send a text. Hey, filling out my calendar. When's your birthday? If you really care. But you don't. So again,
a lot of people
Facebook
in small towns and communities and less cool places. Sorry to be condescending.
And alt-right military groups.
Yes, a lot of MAGA resistance groups and various sorted types. But no, I think some people do use Facebook, and it is a community thing, like the groups and shit. You know.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's a AITA Facebook. Join it. I'm on it.
I mean, I hear you, Jake, from the
get on Discord like a disaffected adult.
There you go. But I don't think it's fair to ask her to delete Facebook. Nonetheless, I think we have found an answer here. AITA for wanting my mother-in-law to delete my partner's ex-wife on social media. I think we're saying title literal. You would be the asshole. That's weird. But when you get into this,
yeah.
NTA and the mother-in-law I think she's trolling basically.
Oh yeah,
I think so too.
You're getting preschool level trolled here, and it's not worth your energy getting upset about this. They want you upset.
Hundo
Definitely.
P. Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up here on a Reddit post. We did 2 listener submissions, and I thought this was really interesting. Very short ones. AITA for not having the waiter correct our bill at an expensive restaurant. Well, it's actually my husband. We deliberated on what to do, but ultimately he was paying, so I told him he gets to decide. We went to a nice restaurant and the bill should have been over $200, but when they brought it, it said $38. We were obviously shocked. I felt really bad, like we should tell them, but my husband and cousin said it's their fault. They should have seen it. So we put the card with the bill and the waiter didn't come back and say, oh, I noticed we messed up your bill. They just charged what the bill said. But I'm wondering what other people would have done since we didn't have to pay so much. We ended up leaving a really good tip. AITA.
Right there.
Wow.
You nailed it at the end. That is a gift from the universe. You don't have to say shit. Your only obligation in this situation is to tip as if they charged you correctly, because you know what? That server's not going to say shit. They got a nice tip. They see that mistake. They don't care. They got theirs.
Yeah, the only thing with that is 100% agree. You definitely have to tip the appropriate amount. But it seems to me like she gave them the wrong bill. And so then if she gives the other table, that's the $38, your 200 and something bill. And then that's when the mistake will be realized. And then, I mean,
but in
the
that
restaurant would just have to void it and get it back down to 38. So it's not that big of a deal. It would still probably wouldn't harm the server. But there are some restaurants where then that comes out of
they'll be dicks about it.
Yeah, I've worked at great restaurants where they were, they have insurance and stuff to cover like minor mishaps like that.
Yeah.
But there are some where, and especially back in the day, I feel like it was a lot bigger of a thing then where it does come directly out of the waitress's pocket.
That's good perspective. I've never worked in an environment where that could happen, so good to know.
I was a server for 2 months, and I know.
Couldn't cut it.
I actually recently met this woman who said she was a server for 35 years, and I said, thank you for your service. And it got a huge fucking laugh. I was
That's
good for
a
you.
good job.
You
Thank
nailed
you.
that one.
But yeah, this happened to me. This young couple actually walked out on a $70 tab, and they did make me pay half. That was the rule.
Oh, they did.
And I actually kind of ended up stalking the guy because he put his email on like the email collector cards.
Bold move.
And I was like,
Yeah,
I'll
really.
find you. And he was actually a guy who like modded his car. He was like a car modder guy. So what I did was I went on the dark web, and you can buy this thing. It's like a...
How do you get to the dark web?
It's complicated, but it's like a thing where someone they can turn their car on, and then when they brake, their car explodes. And so I killed
Danny.
him. I
Oh
killed
my
him
God.
and his whole family.
You had
No, I'm
me.
just kidding.
I
But
feel us and every person listening to this right now was just
Yeah,
like,
I
is
just
he?
got
How did he? Why is this posted?
one guy is
Where
like,
are Jake and Shannon? Are they okay?
yeah, one guy listening is like, "What's this dark web? Well, I could use this product. This is interesting. Brakes explode." No, but I actually really did find him on a forum, and I was like, I should do something. I should get him. And I told the restaurant that I found him, and they were like, "Yeah, we're not going to do anything." And I was like, "Okay."
They
So nothing
didn't
happened.
send the restaurant SWAT team on him. What response were you
I thought we
expecting?
could involve the police. Like I have the guy's
okay.
identity or
I
whatever.
guess that is the restaurant SWAT team. It's just the normal SWAT team.
Yeah, that would be great though if they had it.
But putting myself in the situation as the patron, I would definitely be having some conflicting feelings. The angel and the devil, they'd be fighting.
Well, the fact that they would try to charge the waiter, like let's just say it was a situation with malice, I think that should be illegal straight up. If somebody steals from the restaurant, the
It's
waiter
on the
has to,
waiter. They already
That
aren't
should be
getting paid
illegal.
enough by you.
Right.
They have to rely on their tips.
why would the liability fall on them?
Well, I guess because they gave him the wrong check.
But now
No. I'm saying in a situation with malice, which is what happened to me, right? They just walked out.
Oh.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Oh, right.
You know, what was I supposed to do? Chase them?
the
Right.
dine and dash, and you never
Dine and
chase
dash.
anybody.
You
in
never
a theft
chase anybody.
situation.
No.
You don't do
So
it.
like that should be illegal, and I don't know if
Yeah,
that
that's not right.
It's wrong, and if you're a waiter and it's happened to you, let me know because I will go Karen on your boss.
But we
Yeah.
made an interesting caveat here by assuming that this is a receipt switcheroo, because if they looked at their receipt and they saw, okay, we got that, but they left off the calamari, the lobster, whatever.
38 to 200. I got to say, receipt switcheroo is pretty good theory. But go ahead.
Mhm.
So in that case, and it's just a mistake on the bill. Yeah, admittedly, you're right, Shannon. I didn't think about how that might screw up the server's night on the back end.
Yeah.
But also, me in that situation, bad things, good things happen to us chaotically throughout the world. If you can accept a bad day with grace, you're allowed to accept a good thing with grace.
That's true.
I think ethically, there's nothing wrong with and I'm comparing this to the very small steak. My favorite day in equivalence to this is when you're at Chipotle and you get double meat. You get guac, you get the works, and they don't
And they don't
communicate
charge.
on
They
that
lay it
line.
on.
They lay it on and they don't communicate.
They don't communicate.
They don't communicate at
Oh,
the
in that
line.
scenario, I don't say anything.
Right, because it's not
Yeah.
going to. And so I'm approaching it from that point of view where it's this is a victimless crime. The only person getting ripped off here is Johnny Chipotle up in his big aluminum foil skyscraper.
Yeah, that's true.
But
I do have a lot of guilt though around when situations like that happen, because I kind of believe, I would say I do believe in in karma.
Right, but what is karma's beef with you for you getting some free guacamole and extra meat?
Yeah.
The next time you go to Chipotle, they're gonna be like, "It's $4 for extra guac." You're like, "What? No, it's never been $4." They're like, "Yes, it is."
Everyone, make sure to communicate. Mr. Jokes is here.
Yeah, I mean, I think receipt switcheroo is a very compelling narrative, Shannon. I'm struggling to get around that. I mean, we are talking about $162.
If it's a receipt, I feel like you could tell though. If you put your eyes to it, you could tell if like this isn't my receipt. These are things we didn't order, and in that case, you're dealing with a server and another table, so it is.
This is good, Jake.
It is ethically important for you to loop it in of like, hey, I don't want to screw anybody over here. This is, I think, somebody else's receipt.
Yeah.
But again, it gets murky for me if it's just a tab living
it feels
on,
like
leaving
they
things
didn't say
off.
it was the wrong receipt. I think that is why we never went to receipt switcheroo town when we were discussing this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to indicate that it's the right receipt with the wrong value. I think that's closer to playing it as it lays.
Okay, we can play it.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Sure.
If it's blatantly the wrong receipt, I think you do have an obligation
there's
to
like
report.
no items on there at all of yours.
Like you got the chicken cacciatore and a Diet Coke, and it's for the Greek salad and the horse head.
Yeah.
It's wow, somebody actually
cheaper.
got the horse
It's
head.
cheaper at this. The horse head's really cheap over there.
Yeah.
At Maloney's.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like if it's a wrong receipt, you got to say something because it's like obviously, I don't know. It's obviously a mistake. It involves the other table. It's a switcheroo. I don't know. But if they forgot to put stuff on the bill, I'm kind of like, your lack of diligence is not my obligation to report.
And I'll throw another factor into this for you. Are you a person who returns your shopping cart or do you not? Because if you are, I think you can guilt-free take that handout.
I do.
I do. Yeah, I put it back.
Then you are welcome to that break from the universe. This one's on us, said the universe that day.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Enjoy
universe.
that.
Right.
Shannon deserves it. God
I do.
knows.
I need a little good luck.
There you got
I've
it.
been down on my luck lately, listeners.
Yeah, you're gonna hit it big soon. So okay, the analogy here for me is like I've done freelance work. If I invoice someone incorrectly, and it's
That's
not
a good argument.
and they pay me the right amount that I invoice them for, even if it is much lower than what we discussed,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't catch it. Let's say I catch it a month later. I mean, what can I say? They're like, we paid you the invoice. We thought this transaction was settled, sir.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, I guess you got me,
And in my line of work, same thing. If I and it's happened to me before. I'm not the best mathematician. So when I'm on the fly, I can think of an instance where I misquoted somebody on what their price would be. And it wasn't a huge discrepancy, but they did wind up on the promotion they bought in. They would have having to pay a little bit more. I just owned up to the mistake and said, no, I can figure out how to make this okay on my end. We're just going to give you that price and I can take the heat for the mistake. And but that's just a personal policy I have. Some people, I would love to see a salesperson try to tell somebody like, hey, that agreed price? Fuck you.
Yeah.
You're paying more now.
Yeah.
It's not something I want to deal with. So I think I'm coming from it from that side professionally too, where like mistakes are mistakes and it's not the biggest deal in the world.
And
when
like
it winds
I was
up benefiting
saying, like a lot of
somebody.
companies have insurance that are able to cover some of these mistakes that happen.
Yeah.
DJ26458, top comment, YTA. Yes, it's the restaurant's fault, but at bottom, you're taking something that wasn't meant for you. I didn't care when I was younger, but I pride myself in doing right by other people more now. The thing is, I don't think this is true. You're taking something that wasn't meant for you. Well,
that sounds like somebody who calls the cops on bird watchers. That sounds like such a fucking like narc asshole. Like fucking calls the fucking dorm model.
They're on my lawn, so they're my birds.
Yeah.
Get the hell out.
It's just like I can just like smell the condescension coming off of that comment. I might be biased there. It just sounds like Randall from Recess taking notes on everybody.
Well, and you're not taking something that wasn't meant for you. You're taking something that the restaurant gave you that was meant for you, and then you're using the receipt that they handed you and basically implicitly are saying was meant for you.
Yeah.
You're taking the imaginary concept of money.
Yeah, this is hard. This one's hard. I would really have a hard time with this as well. I would be like feeling the same way OP is of the
we
back and forth.
We talked about it in our group thread, and I don't want to delve into like the finer points of this question, but it's just a good blanket one. Do you guys think it's wrong to steal from specifically big box retailers in modern day current America?
Yes.
No, I couldn't. I could sit here and I can't figure out what would be wrong about it. Like particularly, like the classic example of this is stealing bread to feed your children.
And it's a level lower than that because the bread also doesn't belong to some mom and pop vendor. It belongs to Big Bread, and Big Bread is insured for their bread losses. And Shannon, I would love to hear why you feel it's wrong to steal from, like, say you just pick up a big screen TV and walk out the door at Best Buy.
Yes, that's wrong.
Who are you hurting?
It's just wrong.
Is it against the law or is it wrong?
Well, it's wrong to steal. It's still like the company you're doing something.
You are breaking the law for sure. And I agree that it's wrong to steal from other people, but I don't think the Best Buy is a person. I don't think that
exactly.
I don't think that their property is.
Well, so what? Everyone could just go in and steal something from Best Buy, but if everyone did it, wouldn't Best Buy go out of business?
Yeah, and a bunch of people would die.
So then all of us can just have this let's just steal from.
So your
Target.
argument is it's for the upholding of society that we shouldn't do that.
Yes, because it would just be absolute chaos.
So I can get behind you on that, but I'm not arguing everybody should steal from Best Buy. What I'm saying is that people are already stealing from Best Buy every single day.
Well, there's all these articles I just read. People go into the Apple store. They just grab like a fistful of boxes.
They just grab shit and walk out. But the reason everybody doesn't do that is because you can get shot in the back running away from police when you do it. So the risk reward doesn't make a lot of sense for most people. But for some people, it does. So what I'm saying is that, like, if you're at a point where society in its current state, its ultimate punishment for you stealing something that belongs to this giant corporation being death, that's a pretty solid deterrent to keep people from doing it. So I'm speaking strictly in the sense of morally. I don't think you're stealing from an actual person. You're stealing property, but you're basically stealing property that belongs to bigger property. So it's not like the employees at that Best Buy are getting dinged on their paychecks at the end of the day for that theft. Like I was at a Best Buy where 6 dudes just rolled in off of a van and we knew they were coming. The calls were going around the different Best Buys and they said, hey, there's some guys going around in the van. They're just walking in and grabbing, whatever they can carry, and they walk out. And we knew they were coming. They walked in. Security just walked with them and said, guys, come on. Come on, guys. Guys, come on.
No, I do not like that.
And then because they can't do anything. As soon as
it's not cool. I don't like it at all. I just got my bike. Like my parents just gave me a nice electric bike a few months ago. And this guy just with a crowbar into my garage, took the bike and literally flipped off the Ring camera because he knew there was nothing I could do about it.
And that's fucked up. That is a fucked up, wrong thing to do.
But I just think that should be the rule for like every aspect of life. It doesn't matter.
But you wanted your electric bike to use it. Best Buy was just going to sell that TV, and they have inventory. There's some in the back.
There's a ton in the back.
There's
always a ton in the back.
Don't agree.
I don't know. I guess I think, I like how you put this. This is stealing property from property. That's all Best Buy really is. You're not stealing a useful item from someone. Like, what people I feel like don't realize about like inequality too is like when you're rich, everything is so much easier. Like, especially if you're super rich, like if you're a corporation, like, I was listening to Planet Money today and I didn't even know about this, but what a lot of billionaires do to pay zero taxes is actually not a tax loophole. It's just a blatant thing you can do. It's totally legal. What you do is you basically take no income tax and you just have stock, right? So your stock goes up in value and then you just take loans against the value of your stock. And therefore you have no income and so you never pay income tax. Just a straight up unfairness, right?
Oh.
How much is interest on a loan? 2% if you're rich, maybe 5% at worst. But like, we're over here, I pay, 30% of my fucking income, and so it's not a fair game. And I think a lot of things like that, people act like it's fair, but it's not fair. Like the rich people are not playing the same game that we are, and corporations are
off the board entirely.
Exactly. Exactly.
I still don't think that means that people should just steal
No,
from
and nobody's
businesses.
arguing that they should.
I don't think people should steal because they're going to get in trouble and ruin their own lives, but I just can't explain. I wish I could. I'm inadequate to explain what is morally wrong about taking a TV
here's where
from Best Buy.
here's where we're getting caught up. Laws shouldn't just be there to policy moral issues. They're there to policy societal issues. And
Well, right,
what
'cause we need stores.
Right, and what Shannon's arguing is very societally sound, and I agree with you on it. It should be illegal. But what I'm saying is it's clearly not that important to the system where, like you said, the guy flipping off your camera, he knows the system doesn't care about what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
So that's the people who make sure the laws are supposed to work for everybody telling you, well, yeah, but we don't really care about that particular law.
Well, and that is
Yeah.
wrong for an obvious reason. You're not going to get to use your electric bike. Like, you paid for that thing. It was a fair thing. Like, you actually lost something of value to you, you know?
And that's
Well,
where
maybe I should just go into
Best
Target
Buy and steal a new
an electric
bike.
bike.
if you are willing to take the risks that come with that, you are
Yeah.
making something that is, you're breaking the law, but you're not doing something that is specifically, it's chaotic, but it's not morally evil. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not taking it away from an employee who is going to work hard enough and get the bike. And I think for me, I just can't think of corporations as people. So when there is like, and also I think that theft is used as a deterrent in the crime conversation in America in particular of like, oh, theft is on the rise. And it's like, yeah, why do you think that is? It's because our society is deteriorating from the top fucking down. It's not the bottom up. I think that we're kind of being conditioned to get really upset about smash and grab videos that we see when, yeah, it's the breakdown of society and it's chaotic and I hate to see it, but I have a hard time condemning them. It's not like they're jumping an old man on the street. That's morally wrong.
Well, the corporations don't have to smash and grab. They just pay a lobbyist $1 million a year and they make the laws that make them literally get printed money go right into their account. We're the ones who have to actually break a window.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it comes from. And a lot of, like, I think the rhetoric inspires to create this division where it's like, I'm not a smash and grabber. You know, you always say, oh, I work hard for all my money, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you don't realize what money is. You have no money. You have a house, you know, like these companies, you know, they don't pay taxes. They don't do shit, you know, and it's getting worse and worse with time. But let's tie it into this actual situation, because I do think it applies. If I was at a small place, like a local place with like 20 seats, and I get the wrong bill, I would feel bad.
Oh, I'd say something.
Yeah.
For sure.
I would say something. If I'm at Outback Steakhouse, you know, forget it. They'll be okay. The chain will be okay.
Yeah.
It's
I get that.
I think it always just comes down to how is this going to affect another thinking, breathing, feeling human being, and like
That's a great way to put it. Like, when you steal something from Target, you know, Mr. Target isn't like, oh, my TV, you know, like, he doesn't care. This is like a fraction of a decimal point to him.
I worked in retail long enough to know too, like the only reason people actually care about things getting stolen in retail is because it fucks up your inventory and you have to go in and fix it.
Yeah.
That's the only reason anybody actually cares. Even when I was working at a mom and pop shop that was owned by fucking billionaires, so it's kind of hard to classify it as like a true mom and pop shop. But, you know, we still had to deal with theft, but it was like teenagers stealing keychains and coasters and shit, like small stuff that they can put in their bags. And it was weird because we had like crazy high priced items that nobody ever tried to steal. But it's like the only people who ever got mad about it were the super rich people that owned the place. And it was a pride thing for them of like, they're taking our things.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a fucking keychain. I just deleted 3 of them out of the inventory. Like, you can't ask me to actually give a fuck about this.
Yeah, I mean, like, it also, you know, I like to say money is real. It's like, if you take $1 billion from Jeff Bezos, he can't feel it. Like, there's nothing, like, money is just a number to him. So I think that is what this kind of does come down to. Like, what is the size of the restaurant, et cetera, et cetera. But also, I think, you know, it just, like, it doesn't fall on the customer to do due diligence. If you accidentally give me a deal, like, and I say this as a freelancer, as a guy who, you know, doesn't own a house and isn't balling rich, but like, if I hand you an invoice and I fucked it up, like, honestly, I do feel like that falls on me. Like, it's a good thing to do to correct me. But if I give you an invoice for the wrong amount, that's it. That's what I charged you.
Yeah. I would, if this happened to me, I would love to be able to just be like, oh, it was your fault. But I recently have really been all about like the karma thing, and then thinking that when I do something good like that, like being honest, then I'll get good karma. But I also understand your theory of like, well, then maybe this was your good karma that you're getting.
And that's where it's always tricky is like you have to, at a certain point, you have to be selfish to cash in, so to speak.
But sometimes good karma can come in like, here's an awesome, in my situation, here's a great new acting role that you got that isn't harming anyone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and that's where it comes back to that. I think what we've been debating on this whole time, as deep as this conversation has gone, we're really asking, like, are we sure that the server isn't getting the short end of the stick here? Or another, well, and it's impossible for another table to get the short end of the stick because they can just say, this isn't right.
Yeah.
And, you know, they'll be proven right there. So it really comes down to, and I guess it would be a context thing for me. If this is a what would you do this thing, I think I would have to just like hope that there's enough clues for me to tell if like the server's not going to get fucked over here.
Yeah.
And if they're not, then I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that win.
Yeah.
And if I have any personal investment in the restaurant, like if I know the owners and stuff, which I did at a couple places in New York, but if I'm at like an expensive place in LA, it's my first time there, I'm taking this as a lottery win.
Yeah,
and I think
I probably would too.
I
don't know. This is hard.
I would ask anybody who's ever worked labor, service industry, hospitality, anything like that, where people can talk down to you if they feel like it. If you put in your time in those industries and you did a good fucking job, even when you didn't feel like it, you put your time in there. I think that is direct karma for you. And you've gotten the short end of the stick enough times where I don't think you should let your guilt dog you about something like this. It goes around, it comes around. I've had good days in my service working jobs and bad days in my service working jobs.
Totally.
And like, I think that, you know, just remember, treat others the way that you want to be treated when you're on the clock. And, you know, if somebody forgets to ring something up for you, steal a bunch of bikes from Target.
AITA for accepting a bank error in my favor. Monopoly's version of this. Not having the waiter correct our bill at an expensive restaurant. I think we agree that it's no assholes here.
No assholes here.
I think so.
Well, guys, it's officially the longest AITA episode ever. Jake, Shannon, thank you so much for joining me.
We like it long. We like it slow. Come back for more.
I'm uncomfortable. I love you guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye. Good job, Shannon. That was great.
Holy smokes.
Oopsie daisies.